Greetings, YouTubers. My name is PhD Tony, and welcome to another episode of the Four Beardsmen. I'm going to have to start off with an apology. Unfortunately, Irish Demon has a medical appointment tomorrow, and I'm hoping that goes extremely well. But he's decided he needs some rest ahead of it, so he won't be able to join us this evening. And JL is otherwise occupied. I think he said something about sneaking in a quick rosary or two before the stream. He'll be back shortly.
He's got to get his Hail Marys in.
Exactly. But in the meantime, I am joined by the inestimable Johnny O, and the ubiquitous and inestimable. How are you, sir?
I am doing very well, actually. Yesterday was kind of a shit day. Don't like my job anymore. But you know what? Fuck it. It's a job. That's all it has to be. It didn't have to be fulfilling.
Well, yes, that is why they pay you to do it. In fact, if you really, really had fun doing it, you might not need to be paid so much.
Right.
So yeah, it's an unfortunate reality, like I say. Let us greet the chat, shall we?
Absolutely.
I see D. Elwood, Monkey in the Works, Kevin Paul, Limey Play, Base Trigonometry, Thor Rasmussen. And Tony Regime is there as well. And Catpaw just popped into the chat right there. So, yes, greetings to you all. Thank you so much for being here to watch what's going on. Already, people have started in about this is the two Beardsmen and somebody else sitting here. Yes. Or 3 out of 4 possible Beardsmen with an occasional full house. Yes. That is a bit clunky. I mean, I'm not sure I can get it past our marketing team, largely because I don't know who our marketing team is.
Right.
But
let's see here. There he is. JL is walking in the door from his afternoon or his morning seance.
Right. So yes.
He must have went to morning mass at 6:00.
But that could be it. And as we talk, he's already laying a guilt trip on us. So go gently.
Already.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh.
You
know. Look, if we didn't give JL a hard time, then who would?
I imagine the rest of reality.
This is true.
Certainly the residue of our chat. But there you are. Yes. Let me know when we can see JL. Actually, he should show up on the StreamYard thing.
Right.
Anyway, but yes. So we don't really have any greetings, Dora. Actually, I saw Dora shortly after getting up this morning on Huge Ass's stream. So there you are. And she's here, you know what? I don't know, sometime later, 21 hours later. So, yes, we don't really have any major topics for discussion. We don't have a scheduled... when I look up, it looks like I'm trying to see up Johnny O's nose. I'm sure Johnny O has an exceptionally fine nose, and I will say nothing bad about it, but that's not what I'm trying to do. No.
Yeah, it's been kind of a relatively quiet week.
Well, except in your part of the world.
That's true.
It must be said.
We've had all the ice thawed, and it was gone, and it took like a day and a half for it to all go away. I mean, there are a couple of patches here and there on with the snowbanks and whatnot, but it's all pretty much gone. Now we're just dealing with the aftermath, the water outages and bursting pipes and whatnot. That's probably what's got JL all really what has him all beat up and so.
Yes, in a position to give us a guilt trip when he eventually gets here.
I guess he has to crank up the. I don't know what kind of internet he has over there. German Shepherd powered internet. We'll call it that.
No, we'll call it that. Have you been to his place? Now, I know that he's been to yours.
I have not.
Okay.
We're supposed to meet up next week. I'm not sure where we're going to meet up, though. I know Alex and myself are relatively close to each other, and I think Eugene and JL are relatively close to each other on the other side of DFW. So we'll probably meet someplace in the middle.
All right. Is this for Week in Horror?
Yeah, we're doing a production meeting to find out. Well, to kind of just go over all the goals and whatnot. We're trying to get bigger guests on the show. Not that the guests that we've had have been bad. It's just we'd like to see some bigger industry guests.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Clive JL is still at church.
Well, that's one of the theories. That's one of the theories.
Yeah, that's one of the theories.
He could also be off conducting a seance. Evidence is just not in yet. We don't.
So do you think that maybe he's? Do you think that maybe he's Orthodox?
For somebody who was walking in the door relatively recently, he's taking a long time to get from that door to his computer.
That's why. Okay, so that's why I think he's Orthodox Catholic.
Okay. I think you're making that up.
No, that's not a made up thing. That's like when you beat yourself with the cat of nine tails for all your sins.
Well, yes. That's called mortification of the flesh. But the term Orthodox refers to the Eastern churches that the Catholic Church separated from in the Great Schism of the 7th century.
This is true, but it sounds much more JL-ish if we call it Orthodox. Okay.
Okay. Or how are you, JL?
How many? I was gonna say how many freaking pipes? How many walls did you have to crawl into? Ugh. Oh, hang it.
All
right, Jay, you got to say all that over again.
Oh. Okay, so at my own property, we have 2 boilers, and we had 3 pipes burst. Two of those pops were at elbow joints, which makes them very, very difficult. And they flooded the boiler room, killed the boiler, and so half the property was out of hot water for like 3 or 4 days. But on Friday, that was in between Wednesday and Thursday, so we were running around like crazy dealing with that. And then on Friday, I was going into work, and I got called halfway by my boss's boss to go to another property, which is a little bit closer to my house, but was just in really, really bad shape. Apparently, this place was leaking like a sieve. They had pipes bursting all over the place. And one area that they had was on the second floor of a building, and it had flooded so badly, and then the water had been sitting, and then it froze. So there was 1.5 inches of ice, like throughout the hallway of this almost all of the second floor. So going in there and running around the complex, going up and downstairs all day, and then of course running in there and I had to use this fucking, I don't even know what it's called, long wooden handle and a spade-like blade at the end, and I was like breaking ice all day long. And now my body is just like I've strained my Achilles tendon, so now I'm walking with a limp. My hands still hurt, and my left shoulder is just like completely jacked. I can't like really turn my head very much, and so I'm not in my 20s anymore. I am most certainly 40 years old because my body is pissed at me right now.
Yeah. So obviously, as you were running late, there was extensive sympathy and understanding through your plight in the chat and from Johnny and I.
Exactly.
And then there was absolutely no criticism whatsoever and no speculation as to why you might be late.
None whatsoever.
And then you announced that you were walking in, but that your body was fucked. And I thought, he's probably spent, the last week in really intense work conditions. And I thought, he's already laying the guilt trip on us, right? It's already coming.
I got out of bed and I was like, oh my God, because I got out of my bed and my shoulders like trying to sit lower than the rest of my body. So I got to like kind of like work that out. I was like, God dang it. And now it's like whenever I turn my head too far, if I go too fast, my body's just like, no, I can't do that. And then I was like getting up, walking, and I was like, oh my God, I can't. Now I'm limping because my freaking Achilles is all strained on my left foot. And it's just like, now I'm walking like freaking the hunchback. And then of course I'm still waking up.
That's how I imagine you always walk, actually.
And then I'm still waking up, so I'm kind of like, yes. Need wake up juice.
Walk like this.
Igor, right? Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, it's pronounced Igor.
Igor.
Funny.
Oh, but yes, I'm telling you that Texas was not prepared for this, for what went down. We do not have the infrastructure for this. The whole system just collapsed.
JL, are you tired of hearing that we're just not equipped? Because it seems like for the past 40 years you've been hearing that.
I have not heard that argument as much until this past week. That was because it literally showed the glaring failures in how Texas is set up. Because Texas has got to be friggin' independent. And that's the way we wanted it to be. So Texas is not attached to any of the national grid. You have the West grid and you have the East grid, and then you have Texas right there in the middle, and then you have this independent grid right here. Now, in the scheme of things, this allows us to better control prices and to be competitive within Texas, and that we're not reliant upon anybody else, which is great. But the problem is, if Texas ever gets hit with a calamity, like we were this past week, that means that there's no major regulatory body like there is with the other two grids that keeps people from price gouging. So we had, there were electric companies that were charging like almost $800 to $850 a kilowatt hour, just because there was no one there to stop them, because they're not attached to any other grid. If we'd been attached to national grid, there's no fucking way they've been able to do that.
Nope.
Anybody who was not in a fixed rate, which I'm lucky. I actually have a fixed rate. I have a fixed rate for 12 hours, and then I'm free for 12 hours. So fixed and free, which is an excellent system to be in. But anybody who was not fixed got charged just out the absolute ass for their power. And even then, that's even if they had power, because we had like millions of Texans who were out of power. We had millions of Texans that had no water whatsoever because the pumps were frozen and couldn't pump water into people's homes anymore. And then on top of that, with no power, no heat, and then of course people freezing to death all over I think there was a video of some people in Austin who found a woman frozen to death like on the street. Yep. So it was that's because
it was either Austin or Houston, but yeah,
it was either Austin or Houston, but
which is amazing if you think about how far south both Houston and Austin are. You wouldn't think that people would be able to freeze to death in those cities.
And it's simply because when and either city doesn't matter, because when this thing hit, pretty much the city council was kind of like, okay, well, instead of fighting this, we don't have the infrastructure for it, so we're just going to shut down. So legitimately, everything in the city shut down. Everything in Houston shut down. Everything in Austin shut down. Virtually everything in Dallas completely, and DFW completely shut down. Just there was nothing. Amazon wasn't delivering. There were no delivery services going on, and apparently, unless it was extreme emergency only, social services weren't working either. So, I mean, unless you had a big bad emergency, the cops weren't going to be there. You know, unless there was a major friggin' fire. I mean, even I heard it was even them. They had delays coming out because nobody could drive. So it was just absolute mad chaos. People freezing to death in their apartments, and just chaos in the friggin' street. So but I was out there and trying to fight it and trying to make sure people could stay warm, make sure people had power, try to get generators to people, or try to find ways to work around it and keep people's hot water on. And now my body is just like, you know what, you're a fucking idiot to do this at 40 years old.
Somebody's got to do it. But no, what I mean to say is, it seems like every year Texas has some sort of at least minor ice crisis or cold crisis. Never been on this scale. Well, not never. It's rarely on this scale, because 10 years ago-ish, we had the snowpocalypse on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, it was like 2000. Yeah, it was like 2011.
Yeah. Maybe it was 2009. Anyway, within whatever. We had shut down major
Tony,
freeways.
Tony, we had one so bad that I've lost the footage now, but I actually had footage of somebody ice skating down the street.
Yep.
Wow. So can I ask, was this the result of a polar vortex, or was it some other large-scale weather event? It seems to have affected most of the US, and I'm just wondering if it was a polar vortex.
I think that's what they called it. They were calling it I forget, but I believe it was a polar vortex, because it did hit us and then it went east and up. So,
all right. So those are the frequency of those will increase with climate change.
So aren't we're also looking at a grand solar minimum right now? Yes. So we should start seeing those. I mean, pretty regularly.
And in fact, so the reason polar vortexes are escapes of cold polar air from the south of 60 degrees roughly, but the thing that holds that cold air north is actually a result of the temperature gradient. And the steeper you make that temperature gradient from the equator to the North Pole, the more effectively the cold air is kept over there and can't escape. The shallower you make it, the easier it is for the cold air to get back. And so I've done it wrong in that the pole gets warmer. So that's how the gradient decreases, because the pole warms more than the equator does. And so actually a solar minimum might work to make them less frequent. It's the fact that the pole is warming so much faster than the equator that is making these things more common.
Clive Wells says, escape of cold polar bears. I thought polar bears were north.
Well, yes, that would be in the Arctic, right?
Yeah, but you said they come from the South Pole. So
no, it comes from the North Pole. Okay. If I said the South Pole, I was completely wrong.
Okay.
I could have said the South Pole. I meant to say the North Pole. It's well after midnight here, but I meant to.
Right. Well, I guess for you, the North and South Pole are the same thing.
No, they're not at all.
Doesn't work that way.
No.
Polar bears versus penguins. Who's gonna win?
Have you ever seen the inside of a penguin's mouth?
You ever see the inside of a fucking polar bear's stomach?
Yeah, that's my party trick, JL. You're horning in on my intellectual property. But yeah, certainly penguins get eaten by the seals that are down in, there are various seals, leopard seals, and a few other types of seals down there, and they happily eat penguins. So penguins turn out to be not so great at self-defense. I can't imagine that a penguin is going to hold off a polar bear. Though, a polar bear would have to eat a lot of penguins in order to stay alive. I have to think they're not particularly, most of them aren't particularly large.
So, the penguin army has lasers.
That is true. I mean, this is then
the government NASA Jew penguins.
the NASA Jew penguins.
They're definitely better funded than the independent polar bear.
Exactly.
That was one of the, that sort of came from nowhere with Professor Day. Like that's right.
It's got to be a T-shirt. He's got to put that on a T-shirt. The government NASA Jew penguin.
Yeah.
Oh, with their NASA funding.
I feel like the polar bear has a better shot of going rogue.
Well, they are independents. I mean, they establish themselves as independent, and they rely on no one. So,
yes,
they're a very proud population.
Got to say, once a polar bear figures out that they're stronger in numbers, we're fucked.
Well, that's why we're hitting them with climate change, because if we can warm up the planet and kill the Arctic, then they will have no land. They'll have no sea ice to survive on. They'll starve to death. We can't let them get their foothold. Okay, we can't go out there and fight them directly. So we just got to warm the planet, and then the Earth will take care of the rest.
Yes, I think that if it came down to military maneuvering, we might actually be able to undertake. But yet, this is something that I wanted to address, because Planet Walk, I think, had a guest on a few days ago for a reverse debate where Planet Walk was arguing the flat Earth, and his guest was arguing the globe Earth, even though his guest was a flat earther. But for some reason, because I joined late and I didn't see it, this guy was prattling on about libertarian capitalism or anarcho-capitalism or whatever the hell it was. And you just go, okay, one of the things that keeps humans alive in the face of, adverse circumstances is actually our ability to work together and construct infrastructure to make up for the fact that physically we're not really a match for the wildlife or for the environment. This
is why God knocked down the Tower of Babel.
Right. Yes.
Can't have those pesky humans working together.
Well, I argue actually that we should be able to use that, right? If you're a Bible literalist, you think that story is true. So I want to know, how tall was that structure going to be, and what's its footprint? Because at the time, basically our theory for designing really, really tall structures was to stack lots of rock.
It's like that 6-year-old contraption they used to get the cookies in the cookie jar off the refrigerator.
Well, you think about it. The tallest structure on the planet today, Burj Khalifa, right?
Yep.
So tall you can actually have 2 sunsets, and they need that because that's why they have that little buzzer system within it, so that people at the top floor, so that Muslims at the top floor can do their appropriate, time of day prayer, as opposed to Muslims at the bottom.
It's also very important in Ramadan because they can't eat until sunset. Yeah. So,
big ass building, so tall. So the Tower of Babel was knocked down because it was so tall that God feared that it would actually, if you're reading the passage, God knocked it down because he was concerned about humans working together, about all humans coming together, working to accomplish a goal, because together we can accomplish anything. And so look, and I think the wording is look at them, look at what they have accomplished. We cannot allow this like that. So smite the building, spread them, screw up their language so that they can't communicate. So God was worried, what we could accomplish all together. It was like that. But if he knocked it down because it was such a threat, but he has not knocked down the Burj Khalifa
yet,
of course, but he has not knocked down the Burj Khalifa, then obviously the Tower of Babel was larger than the Burj Khalifa.
I think
Yes.
the idea behind the Burj Khalifa or behind the Tower of Babel was that it was more about the cooperation of human than it was about the height of the structure.
No, the height is definitely an element, I think.
Sure, no. The
I
height
think
is
it's
definitely an element,
I
but
think I think he was afraid that they were going to be able to build high enough to get to heaven.
Okay.
I think that was
so Bronze Age human beings. God was concerned, all-knowing, all-powerful God was concerned that Bronze Age humans were going to build a structure taller than the Burj Khalifa, but they hadn't gotten there yet. But he was concerned that they might. It's like, holy shit, these fuckers are on to something.
well, I mean, so at the time, the way humans had to make a tall building was to go, pyramid style.
Mhm.
You just get a bunch of rock and you stack it all up.
The taller it goes, the wider the base. Just keep going.
The taller it goes, the wider the base. But I'm kind of thinking that there's a limit to how big you can build one of those, because there's the yield stress of the rock you're making it out of. The rock will be crushed under the weight overhead. But as you say, this thing needs to have a very large footprint. It needs to, and so my argument is, where is it? If you could show me that, we'd start.
You consider them that, and that's an excellent point. I'm glad that you that. I'll have to use that in the future. Because the thinking was like a building of this magnitude would require. I mean, oh my god! If you think about the footprint of the Burj Khalifa, okay, think about the footprint of the Sears Tower, of the Twin Towers. Just going down the list, the footprint of these incredible buildings, and there's no. I mean, yeah, there would be remnants of that. Even if the Burj Khalifa fell, the remnants of that building would be around. I mean, you'd be able to tell where it was, but no,
maybe unless they repurposed the site.
Well, I think I'm comparing it to today, but like if you imagine if there was something as large as the Burj Khalifa in Bronze Age Palestine or wherever this was, and that fell down, then considering their architectural methods, then we would easily be able to tell that it was there.
Unless it was aliens versus the predators.
Okay, so I was thinking aliens, but then you put predators in there, so it automatically defined which aliens it were. It was like,
exactly.
How did they get off LV-426? How did they get to planet Earth? They're not spacefaring.
Well, I think he's referring to a specific film, right?
Yes.
Oh shit! Yes, the predators brought them here, and they used them. They used humans for sacrifice to hunt their prey. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so bad. It was so terrible. It was such a bad movie.
In the underground. Go ahead, Tony.
The underground ice tunnel. Yeah.
Yeah, the underground ice tunnel to the pyramid.
To the pyramid. Yes, the pyramid under Antarctica.
So there's a guy by the name of Graham Hancock who started life as a journalist, and now I forget what he calls himself. But he has invented. He has practiced. He's almost like Van Daniken, actually. So he didn't invent it, but he is a pseudo-archaeologist. So he claims that there was this global, sophisticated, advanced global civilization that spanned the Earth 10,500 years ago. And his evidence for this is extraordinarily tenuous.
I would say.
But one of the features, one of the pieces of evidence he uses is, look at these really tall buildings. They're pyramidal, therefore same culture. And you just go, mate, leave a kid alone with a pile of rocks and tell them to make it as tall as you can. You know what structure you're going to end up with after a while? It's going to be a mound. Yeah, it's just. It's just going to they built pyramidal structures because pyramidal structures worked for the purpose that they wanted.
Right.
It's not a mystery that this is convergent architecture as opposed to convergent evolution. See, got this terminology. When people wanted tall buildings, they built them parameterly because that was a good way to get things tall.
And typically they build them too tall, and then they would fall over. And then
Yeah.
like, oh well, and then it kind of adds to the base, and then you just keep building on top of the wreckage of your previous structure, and then it just kind of like works itself out.
Well, shit.
Well,
this straight line doesn't work.
You mean the tower? You mean the Tower of Babel might not have been real? Yeah. I'm sorry to break it to you, Clive. And we do apologize for doing this this intervention with JL's against JL's religious propensities on air without warning him or anybody else. But he needs this beaten out of him.
This is the best way to do an intervention.
Yes,
you never tell the person. Right. You never tell the person that they're in an intervention. They just kind of have to figure it out.
Yes.
You guys are so fucking mean to me.
Yes, Tony Regime is correct too. If you just take a truck full of rocks and you dump it out the back, it'll form roughly a pyramid.
Yep.
It's pretty.
That
is a good point.
Isn't that what we call gravity?
Yes.
Yes, John Rapp. Tower of Babel, fall down, go boom, boom. So, Johnny, considering that we're on this topic, I got to ask you something like this real quick. So, because I'm on Discord a lot more than you are. But in some of these servers that I traffic in, the atheist versus theist servers that I'm in, remember I mentioned to you a friend, his name goes by Corsi Stardust?
Yes.
Okay. So we had that interview where you're talking to me about, it was like, 2 hours long. You put the video up in its entirety on YouTube. I have to ask, first I have to preface this. Did you get any contact from Darth Dawkins regarding that video?
I haven't heard from Darth Dawkins at all.
Okay. The reason I ask this is because, basically, go fuck yourself. Anyway, so the reason I ask this is because, thank you, Basic Trigonometry. That was awesome. Apparently, Darth watched that video. Now, I went back and I watched it myself and I looked at the comments. He didn't comment on it, but apparently he watched that video and it fucking pissed him off to like no end. Like, we're talking wet hornet shit. And he went, and the people that I mentioned Corsi. I may have mentioned other people. He went on a mass ban and started like removing people from the Reformation server that he controls, and just started like banning people and just screaming about the thing and really, really pissed off because of what we were talking about. For various reasons. There's a number of things there. He's pissed off that, I guess people know stuff about him or whatever, but I think he's still pissed off that I won't debate him. That I flat out just like, no, I'm done with him. So, but yeah, so I didn't know if he had contacted you because he called Corsi like directly.
What?
Oh, dang.
Who just
Sorry.
won? Who just won?
That
the
was
jackpot?
that was my timer. I don't know why my timer was set on my phone. It's fucking weird.
Is it because now it's time to say your Hail Marys? It is 8 o'clock.
Holy shit! No, it's 8:05. No.
Oh, okay,
incorrect. Well. Stop trying to put shit on me that ain't true.
No, you're talking about the live stream I did a couple of weeks ago where we briefly talked about Darth Dawkins.
Yeah, I did. It was Darth Dawkins reacts to JL's video.
Yeah,
and I popped on and we just chatted back and forth about it and everything. And pretty much you were trying to convince me to debate him. And
well, yeah, I mean, I guess it was a soft sell. It was a soft sell of you debating Darth Dawkins for the strict purpose of channel building only.
Okay, soft sell that it wasn't a brick upside the head.
It wasn't a brick
with debate him carved into the brick.
It wasn't. Not at all. Not at all. I did not say. I said, look, if it were me, I would do it simply because. Look at what happened to your channel before the Darth Dawkins debate, or Darth Dawkins video, and then after. It's just you saw some pretty good channel growth, and you're obviously getting the attention.
Yeah,
you're getting the attention. From him, so.
Can I just say that Dawkins' reaction, this guy's reaction to your video, was fantastic in the sense that he just confirmed everything you said. Right? you said this stuff, and I'd never, I had heard of him, but I don't run in that sort of crowd. And you said this stuff, and I'm going, well, I don't know who this is, but I'm going to listen, because it was a very, even without knowing what he was, you did a very good job of dissecting sort of a toxic YouTube presence, and what you discussed, the debating tactics that he used was actually quite informative. So I really enjoyed it. But then he showed up, and he was exactly like you described. It was spot on. It was like, God damn it, JL's saying this stuff about me. I need to go and show everyone that he is right.
Yeah, it's JL says, Darth Dawkins, you're acting like a petulant child. No, I'm not.
No, I'm not. Shut up.
You're
a petulant child.
You're a petulant. I'm rubber and you're glue.
It was, and he almost, it was almost, Johnny put up a really, really good argument. He was kind of like, he was just laying it out. He was like, this could benefit you. This could benefit the plot hole. I mean, this could really look really, really good. We could track more. I was like, he's got a point. He's got a point. Like that. And then of course, I'm sitting in the room and I'm muted. And then Darth comes in and is like, where the fuck is JL? Where is that? He's gonna, this freaking traumatized boy, because I banned him from his server, is gonna make a video about me. He needs to defend himself now, or he's a coward. I'm like, okay. And then I'm just listening. And then all of a sudden, this is like the third day, day 3. And then someone comes along, hey, Darth, man, this has been going on a minute, and it's starting to sound kind of creepy, maybe a little stalker. Fuck you! I'm turning you down.
That's pretty much exactly how it went. That's not like not even an exaggeration or caricature of the conversation, because I listened to some of it, and no, that's pretty much spot on exactly what happened.
It's and that's the other thing, like and I noticed this coming in, sort of, Anthony Riley said, well, you need to debate me. No, I don't.
Why do I need to?
No one needs to debate you, Anthony.
and I got onto it. He said, come onto this Discord server and chat with me. And I gone, okay. And so I, presented the evidence the Earth is round. And he said, and he said, well, but science dictates that what you're saying, isn't actually science. Science is like this. And I've gone, no, it isn't. And eventually he's gone, I am going to talk and you are going to listen. No, I'm not. And I just left the server. But and then they go, if you have the balls to, come back. What? I'm 6. You're daring me to do something now.
Hey, Tony. Tony,
where's your mindset?
I double dare you.
Ooh. Double dare me.
I double dog dare you.
Oh,
double dog dare you.
Oh man.
It's like I could hear Tony now. Riley, are you taking the piss? You are.
No, that's allegedly Dave.
Well, actually, I've seen footage of Nathan Oakley talking about the benefits of drinking urine.
Oh man, I guess I always have an excuse for never having to kiss his wife.
Something like that. I've seen the footage. He's there quite calmly explaining that we think it's a waste product, but obviously, we're ignorant of the benefits. The health benefits, but but we've drifted a little from the point that I was trying to make, which not only were your video was just really, really useful in a general sense. Actually, you can use this to identify people who aren't worth talking to.
Yes,
Darth Dawkins is one of these people, right. But there are other people on the internet who do exactly the same thing, so it was just a really, really useful video. And then Dawkins came along. I need to publicize JL. I need to prove that he's exactly right. So
it was just it was so creepy because I heard that first interchange where he was giving me all this credit. He complimented my hairstyle, said it's not stupid like most of these atheists. He complimented my beard.
What does that even mean? What does that even mean?
I have no fucking clue. If I had insight into that shit, I mean, it's like, he didn't have a bad hairstyle because most of these atheists look like dorks. I think what he's doing is he's comparing me to like Eric Murphy from Talk Heathen, because Eric has very curly hair and he calls him Perm Boy. And it's just, he does shit like that. So apparently,
if a guy has curly hair, it means he doesn't know things.
Yeah. That's pretty much
what we call straw man.
And so he complimented my hairstyle. He complimented my beard, which I admit my beard is epic. He complimented my beard. He complimented how funny my video was, that he was actually laughing, and then he told all of his minions to go watch it. It's like, everyone needs to stop and go watch this video right fucking now.
It's like the funniest thing you'll ever see.
I'm like, that's exactly what I want you to
do. This guy's so wrong. Can't believe it. Go watch it. Check it out.
I don't think that he did watch your video just based on sort of what he said about it. And greetings to NANA, who's just arrived in the chat. We've had a few people show up, but I'll say hello in a second. I don't think he did watch it. He was trying to suggest, this is so outrageous and unfounded and inaccurate that it's just funny, right? That it's just, he was trying to sort of deride and belittle, your efforts, I think, by saying, I don't take this stuff seriously. It makes me laugh. And then, if it makes you laugh, why are you so butthurt about it? You can't be both.
Days.
He cannot be both.
He's still butthurt about it.
Oh, he's still butthurt about it. But I mean, I haven't heard much of it, but it was like 5 fucking days.
Well, it was 5 days of Darth Dawkins and then another week and a half of his minions.
Yeah, just his minions.
Yeah.
Every time they showed up to your 500 stream.
Yes.
From what I understand, that was him.
Well, yeah, he's an idiot.
Yeah, he was presenting the most idiotic, arguments. I came across, actually, I noticed Limey Play is in the audience this evening. I had the good fortune to be on a stream with him just the other day on Speak Truth, Seek Truth. Seek Truth, Speak Truth. That's the way it goes. And they had on a Christian psychologist who was explaining the psychology of conspiracy theories, but then went on to explain that Christianity is just logically true. It is that it is that atheism and the suggestion that humans are just a form of animal is incredibly dangerous and led to the Nazis.
That makes sense.
Okay, what the hell kind of track got from that point to that point? That train don't run.
And it just his argument was they're viewing humans as animals. Well, their argument was not we're just as much of an animal as those people over there. Their argument was those people are more of an animal than we are. That doesn't, that's not actually an extension of the same methodology, saying that humans are made of meat and other products of evolution. There's no logical connection between the two. And he was deeply offended. That I was calling his argument irrational, And at one stage, he said, "You need to be less dogmatic." And I said, "You need to be less of a dickhead."
That's not dogmatic at all.
Well, I'm not here claiming that my religion is fucking logically inevitable. You're the one claiming that, and then you turn around and tell me I'm being dogmatic because I won't accept the existence of the spiritual realm. Well, I'll accept it if you can prove it exists. Well, the Bible says the Bible isn't proof of anything. You can't use that. And he was just going round and round in circles, and it just, and I got sick of it. And if you're going to, you don't need to swear, you don't need to be rude, you don't need to throw a tantrum in order to be a dickhead in a debate. But if you go around making assertions like there is a God, the Bible is literally true, there is only one way to interpret the Bible, and it's the way I interpret it. The
fact that you have to say interpret the Bible should be telling enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there is a spiritual realm, and this, that, and the other, and you just, you're asserting all of that, and then you turn around and tell your opponent that they're dogmatic. Well, at that point, you're being a dick. You just literally laid out a series of dogma, and then, a chain of dogma, and then you turn around and call me dogmatic. Well, you're a dick. You're just lying. But anyway.
Yes, and a train go down, go boom, boom. That is what that logic train does. Train go down, go boom, boom. And of course, Taddy Bogle says, atheist equals Nazi? Okay, remind me again what the motto embossed in the Nazi belt buckle was. And Monkey in the Works says, I seem to remember the Wehrmacht had Gott mit uns on their belt buckles. So, yeah, hardly the atheist that a lot of people think that they might be.
No. Yes, Taddy Bogle, it is awesome to see you in the chat. Welcome, Squire. NANA, Clive Wells have joined us. The long hair. Greetings and salutations. Daniel Pratt's water heater, who was the basic trigonometry. Daniel Pratt's water heater made a cameo on Alien X Gaming the other day. Alien X Gaming interviewed him. Yeah, that was quite good stuff. So
Kevin Paul has something for you.
Yes, I fucking can. But I mean,
nothing will ever match the first time.
No, nothing will ever match the first time. My vocal cords are still recovering from the first time round. So, and Colin's in the chat. Greetings, sir. I realize that my comportment, isn't what you might expect from somebody with my educational background. But I went to one of the poorest schools in my state, and if somebody was being a dick, we just told them, right? We didn't sort of sugarcoat it for them. We just let them have it. And I see no reason. I'm an old man. I'm, more than a decade older than you youngsters. And I don't have enough of my life to waste on, politely dancing around the topic. If somebody's being an asshole, I'm going to tell them an asshole, and I'm going to do it loudly enough that this conversation will hopefully end sooner rather than later, and they can fuck off and be an asshole somewhere else.
Tony, I think you said millennia wrong.
Oi, why are you being a cunt?
That's right.
That's what I do.
Don't be a cunt. No one want to talk to you.
Yeah.
You still said
I'm sure there are. Yeah, I did say millennia wrong. That's right. I'm sure there are people who want to talk to these guys, and that's fine. Fuck off and talk to them, because I don't want to talk to you anymore. Go away.
See, that's what age does to you. Makes you bitter.
It does.
It certainly paid you.
Bitter old man. Yes.
And I'll tell you, if I was in my 20s, I'd have jumped in there I would have released that video. It would have been half as good, but I would have released that video. Darth would have flipped out. I'd be like, "Fuck yeah, I'll fucking debate you. Bring it on!" Oh, and it would have been an absolute shit show, and just a waste of fucking time. Now I'm sitting here 40 years old, and I'm like, you know what? I said my piece, man. I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't have the energy to commit to you anymore because I don't want to. I was like, fuck it.
Well, the beauty part about a debate with a Darth Dawkins type person is that they're going to be busy trying to debate the merits of you, whereas you will debate the merits of their position.
It's like, fuck you, dude. I found someone to touch my peen for the rest of my life. I'm set. I'm good. I don't need to fucking fight with you. I'm not trying to prove anything to anybody out there. I'm just kind of like, I'm solid.
So yeah, I think I've made this fairly clear on these streams. Yesterday, well, actually, yeah, it was yesterday. At 3:00 yesterday morning, I dropped what I hope will be my last video about anything related to flat Earth. And I'm going to take on young Earth creationism. And it occurred to me sort of in the comments, somebody said, well, not all Christians are young Earth creationists. And I go, well, I know that. And it occurs to me that maybe I need to start out with I'm not wanting to attack your faith. Now, you need to, and thinking on it, I need to be a bit delicate about it, because if you want to believe that, if you want to believe in the existence of a God, fine. If you want to believe that God created the world in 6 days, roughly 6,500 years ago, fine. Knock yourself out. But what you cannot do is claim that attitude is scientific, right? Because the science just says you're wrong. And if you claim that the science backs you up, then you are A, not being honest, and B, you are misusing the word faith. The whole concept of faith is separated from what can be factually established. That's what faith is, right? When you take something on faith, you are choosing to believe it rather than having its factual nature demonstrated irrefutably. And I'd be interested for JL's take on this.
Well, I wanted to ask a question. Aren't all these religious zealots who try to use science to back up their position? They're just because of the definition that you laid out. Didn't that make them completely 100% intellectually dishonest?
It makes them intellectually inconsistent, but I'm not sure. Exemplars like Kent Hovind or who's the guy with the banana?
That's Kirk Cameron and Ray Comfort.
Yeah, that's right. Those guys, I think, do rise to the level of intellectual dishonesty. Actually, yeah, I think sort of anybody who will get up and say this stuff in public in front of other people, yes, they're being intellectually dishonest. People who passively absorb this information, I think, are being intellectually inconsistent. But as soon as they start going around and telling a scientist, well, you're wrong, science is this, science is that, like Ray Comfort, I saw debate conspiracy cats, and he was lying. He was lying about he was doing the same thing that flat earthers do. He was saying evolution is not science. Well, why the fuck do we care what you think is or is not science, Ray Comfort?
Yeah.
Who the hell are you?
What's his foundation for his argument?
Well, it's the same. It's the same as the Flirt argument that the Earth isn't, that gravity hasn't been scientifically established. which is to say, I don't believe the evidence, therefore it hasn't been factually established.
So if I can break this down into layman's terms, their argument is, nuh-uh, you're wrong.
Well, JL was going to expand, I think, on their position.
All right, go ahead, JL.
We talk about what Ray Comfort is. Ray Comfort bases his entire fucking thing that if you look through your hand when your hand is grasped, you see the little sides and everything, how it's not like a circle like that you can fit, and then a banana fits perfectly in there.
What?
So yeah, so like put your hand like you were going to grip something, right?
Uh-huh.
And
Yep.
look how there are like little areas. Like, so it goes like boom, 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 boom. It's not necessarily like a hexagon or something like this, but you see how there are like little points. There's lines. Now, if you look, it's kind of similar.
It's polygonal. Yes.
Polygonal. It's polygonal. Yeah. So if you look, you can. It looks like it fits a banana perfectly because the way the banana's peel is.
Okay.
So therefore we can grip the banana.
What the fuck does that have to do with the price of tea in China?
Because God.
So his argument is that is evidence that humans are designed, right?
Hey, you know what else
and bananas are designed.
You know what else we can do? Gorillas.
Well, he would argue that gorillas are designed as well. One of the flaws with his argument, of course, is that bananas aren't a natural fruit. The bananas he's talking about are actually the result of human
engineering,
human genetic engineering,
selective breeding as well. Because we bred all the seeds out of them. So we bred the seeds out of them. We bred the peel differently, like the bananas that we eat in the supermarket. I don't even think do those even occur in the wild? Because wild bananas are like half the size. And they're fucking gross.
Yep. Yeah, and and this is the sort of stuff that this is the sort of argument that he will introduce. That humans have obviously been designed, and he basically.
I'm sorry, Daniel Pratt's water heater.
Don't you have small hands there, Daniel Pratt's water heater?
His penis has sides on it. It grips it so well. It must be designed for me.
You've slaughtered JL.
Yes.
What the hell does his dick look like? It looks like a banana.
Well, I have to say, I was going to observe that when you were doing your thing with the hand and this and that, I was thinking somebody needs to come up and dub this over with bad lip syncing. Yeah. And turn that into some sort of pornographic description. Just anyway.
It's either God or it's a colon.
Yes. Tony Regime. Darwin was actually a geologist, and he understood the length scales on which the geological processes he was talking about occurred, and in particular, one of his other major scientific contributions was the development of atolls and reef-based islands over time. And so he understood that these processes were working over significant timescales. The idea of different stuff in different layers that helped with his argument, but I'm not sure that it was as formative as all of that. But yes, he was a geologist. He did understand stratification and that sort of thing. I discovered that actually Darwin gets a bit more credit than he actually deserves. There was a guy called Wallace who developed much of the theory ahead of Darwin. and much of the terminology that is currently used. There's a thing called the Wallace Line, which is named after him, that he came up with. It describes the line between Australasia, Australia, New Guinea, and the other associated islands, and Indonesia. And on east of the island, you get Australasian wildlife, and west of it, you get Southeast Asian. And his argument was, well, why is it that these populations that are in similar why are these ecosystems so different? Why are these animals so different? And he argued that they must have come up with different solutions to the same problems. And so he was also very close to working out about continental drift, but he didn't quite get there. He didn't quite understand that. But yeah. So, I managed to kill that conversation with some obscure scientific...
And the fact, Darwin gets the play because Darwin was published. It's much like, Edison and Tesla. Edison gets all the glory, Tesla, but Tesla, did the bulk of the work. And
it's because Tesla was crazy.
Because Tesla was crazy. This is true. But the reason I've discovered the reason that they always bring up Darwin is that they attack Darwin in every single conversation I've ever had with a theist. Especially when they tag into evolution, they say they think that attacking evolution is somehow going to prove they're God or some shit. But pardon me, but they'll always bring up Darwin because Darwin is easily attacked because Darwin's shit is over 100 years old, and they ignore the fact that we have over a century of work, improving upon Darwin. So if you compare what we know today to Darwin then Darwin was full of shit. Darwin literally thought, things adapt to their environments. It's about as far as he got in comparison to what we have today. What we have today, we have a meticulous understanding of the repetition of gene alleles over a specific amount of time, in the arena of environmental pressures, of evolutionary pressures. So we understand this. We can trace things back. We can see these things. Darwin didn't have that shit. Darwin said, if things adapt to what they need to do to survive, is whatever. And he had a rudimentary understanding. That's why they go after Darwin, because they think because it's all founded on Darwin. If they attack the foundation, then all of it will crumble, because they don't realize, because they think, like science is built like their fucking Tower of Babel, that you go after the foundation, the whole thing will fall. In actuality, no, it's built linearly. It's like, that's it. We just keep going, we keep improving along the line, and we just keep improving it. So no, attacking the foundation of shit, that's like, I'm going to take down the heliocentric model by attacking Ptolemy. What the fuck are you doing? It's like, come on, man.
Yes.
Right. So, Monkey in the Works says the trouble is they conflate evolution with Big Bang, stellar formation, planetary formation, and abiogenesis, which has always been something that I found interesting, is that people who think that because evolution means no God, the two are completely unrelated. You can
exclusive.
They are mutually exclusive. You can have evolution and still have a creator.
Yeah.
Even as an intellectually honest atheist, I have to concede that if there is a God, then if there was a God, then evolution could simply be the mechanism by which life diversified. That's it. Literally, that could be the whole system that he put in place. If there was a God, I have to concede that there could be a deity that just kicked the football in the universe. Boom, universe, I'm out, and then he went and did something that went and fucked off and had a beer. I don't fucking know, but all I can say is that evolution is a fact. Demonstrable. We have seen it in a lab. We have seen it in nature. We have made it happen. We have literally created a new species utilizing evolutionary pressures. We have forced speciation in the lab. Evolution is a fucking fact.
Yeah.
Crafty Keeler is in the chat. So
she got the eyeballs out.
She got the eyeballs out.
Oh shit.
Hey, Crafty, how are you?
Shit, she's looking for me.
She's here for the intervention.
Yes. So the wonderful to see you, Crafty. As always. Yes. But you're exactly right. In sort of and I have noticed that they'll come out and they'll start quoting Darwin. That's about as relevant as quoting Copernicus, as far as or Tycho Brahe or Galileo as far as
anytime I hear somebody say something about, oh, well, Darwin this, Darwin that, I want to say, hey, guys, there are like 50 bazillion new albums out since Darwin's, right? So can we move on to something more relevant?
And that's the thing. You mentioned another name. You mentioned any other name that's more relevant, that had work published in like 2018, 19, or 20. Mm-hmm. You mentioned any of those, and they're like, who?
Right.
Yeah. Because so the breadth of your knowledge pretty much stops at a book written almost 100 years ago by a dude who had a rudimentary understanding of how life diversified. That's it. Like that. That's the extent of your knowledge. And he didn't he built his shit on other people's shit. And that's as far as you've gone. Like you hit Darwin and you're like, nah, I'm done. I got it.
Well, because it's easy to deconstruct something that's that old, that's had so many different improvements, right? So when even the scientists have said, hey, no, Darwin may have been wrong about this, but he was right about this, but this is the reason why he was wrong about this, so we're going to improve his theory, or we're going to improve his position. And then you have that. Now this becomes the standard. And then you got somebody else who comes and says, well, I don't know about this here. Let's test this. And then, oh, no, this is wrong. So we've improved that person's, and then we're here. And then you keep going forward. These assholes want to go backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yes, and we know that Darwin was wrong about that stuff. That's why we had this guy come in and say, here's where Darwin was wrong. Here's an improvement upon that. And then we had another guy who said who this is, and just come on, people. Come on, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I've forgotten the demarcation problem, which is a problem in philosophy of distinguishing what is science from what isn't science. And there are a number of, the fact is that we don't have a hard and fast methodology for doing that. I heard one of my favorite scientists growing up, one of my role models was a guy by the name of Professor Julius Sumner Miller, an American character just a really, really fun guy. And he'd do these really, really fun demonstrations. And sometimes he'd explain the physics to you. And sometimes he'd tell you what the answer was. And sometimes he wouldn't. And his statement was, science is what scientists do. And that's pretty much how it works. If you want to know whether or not something's science, you take it to a bunch of scientists and they will tell you. Creationists or anti-evolutionists or flat earthers want to say, well, it doesn't, we are the arbiters of what is or is not science, and that over there is not science. And you're just going, well, that's not how it works, not how anything works. So
I just have this image of what you just described. If you want to know if what you're doing is science, you just take it and you bring it to the scientists, and the scientists will tell you this is not science or this is science. And in their heads, what they're going to imagine is that science is like this singular panel of like dark cloaked individuals. Okay, and like the Supreme Court, and they're going to come in with their little findings and be like, "Excuse me," is like, "Yes, yeah, it is. Is this science? No, this is not science." And then drag them out, some clandestine organization that determines this is science. So. Yes. That's what's going to be running in their heads. That they're never able to. Well, how do I get in front of this panel of great scientists?
Right.
So, Crafty Keeler points out that she did a video on the demarcation problem, where she dealt with it in some detail. I was fortunate enough to have a guest slot on that video, but she did most of the actual work and detailed analysis. So. Yes, with her, and Crafty sadly missed us. I think she arrived after we were discussing the psychologist who thought that Christianity was an inevitable logical consequence of reality. Clive Wells, how does JL know about the panel?
That was a lucky
Okay.
guess.
You're a marked man now, JL.
I have
I'm
created
sorry.
something amazing for other content creators out there. Flat Derp, if you hear this, you need to create the panel needs to show up in your cartoons. The one thing that I think is missing from Flat Derp's cartoons, they're all fucking amazing. I love them all. But continuity, and we need to have the panel show up. There needs to be a panel of like, scientists, like the ultimate scientists, and they just shut. So Daniel Pratt shows up, it's like, that is not science.
Yes. Yeah, that's that. Well, this is part of the point. One of the most persuasive arguments. I mean, we had Karl Popper and Thomas Kuhn and a number of people, but one of the most persuasive definitions was actually we're not necessarily sure what is science, but science is definitely progressive. It progresses. It builds on layers of. It adds layers of understanding. It extends our ability to understand the universe.
Like
pseudoscience, yes, like an onion. Pseudoscience is regressive. So pseudoscience tries to undo our understanding of the universe. So it gives away. It says, well, we can't explain that. We don't know what that is. Blah blah blah. It takes away our understanding of things. So we understand that Venus is a planet.
No, it's not. It's just a light in the sky.
Anthony Riley will freely admit he has no idea what Venus is. He doesn't know. It can't be a light in the sky because it has a shadow when it passes across the face of the sun. So it can't be a light.
That's God's finger.
Fuck the fact that we actually have photos from the surface of Venus.
Yes,
fuck that.
CGI.
The idea that yes, and so they will claim that the stuff we know is a result of satellites. We don't know. We don't have any satellite results.
How is he just going to shit on that sexy ass fucking picture of Pluto? Now I admit Pluto's a dwarf planet. It's no longer a part of the. It's no longer the 9. Now it's the 8. We lost one of them, but I have to admit those were some badass pictures of Pluto when we finally got those high resolution images of the little dwarf planet in there. Tony, this is a total digression, but something really really fucking cool that I learned about Pluto, and I'm just going to throw it out there because there might be people that don't know this. I think so. Pluto's orbit is way fucking cockeyed compared to the rest of us, compared to the other 8. It's like, whoa,
eccentric.
It's very eccentric.
Yeah, eccentric is the
So,
politically correct term, JL.
Something that is really, really fucking cool about Pluto is that when Pluto's away from the sun, it kicks off way, way, way far away from the sun. That's why it's so fucking cold. So there's ice and all kinds of shit on Pluto. But then there's a moment in time when Pluto swings back around. When Pluto's swinging back around, and it actually passes within, somewhat closer to the sun. Still far away, but close to the sun. But close enough that it actually warms, and that the ice melts and evaporates and goes like that for the briefest amount of time. It's fucking like misty and like foggy on Pluto, and maybe a little bit of condensation, just a little, and then it just kicks back out, and then it all freezes again, and it turns around like that. And for a brief moment, Pluto is actually like a misty, foggy, kind of ethereal looking like place. And imagine like this little process just kicks off very, very as Pluto swings by the sun just long enough for the water cycle to continue. And just and then it freezes up again, then kicks back out to deep space.
I'm not sure that it's a water cycle.
Well, I mean, whatever. It's like that, but that cycle there of gas to liquid to solid. But I love that idea that this dwarf planet is out there, a frozen ball like this, and then all of a sudden just managed to swing just close enough to the sun to turn into something completely different, visually speaking, and be like this, and then swings back out in deep space, freezes again, and it's just gone until it comes back again. I just think that's
like
neat.
My sex life. I can say that because the missus just left.
So yes, Craft Tequila, I have done some high IQ research in determining the cockeyed nature of Pluto.
So
34 tabs.
I don't know why that is so cool to me. Maybe it's because I'm not deeply entrenched in cosmology, or
So
like this is not my field. So I heard that, I was like, that's fucking cool. Once again, I
yeah,
am admiring science's ass as it walks by.
yeah. The learning about climate science. The sort of the textbook that I used is called The Physics of Planetary Climate, or something like that. And so it talks about what happens in Earth's atmosphere, but it also talks about the climates of other planets throughout the solar system. And the they don't have liquid water the way that we do, but they do have these precipitation cycles, these gaseous and precipitation cycles. Like there are lakes of methane on Titan, I think that Pluto has liquid nitrogen on its surface for a large portion, and produce turn gaseous as it warms up. So there's a variety of things going on Pluto. As you say, it has a climate. It's and all planetary bodies with sort of volatiles on them do, to some extent. Obviously Venus has a climate. Mars has a climate. It has seasons. We can see the growth and retreat of the CO2. The dry ice caps at the poles, and actually these are so intense that during winter, so much CO2 freezes at the poles of Mars that its overall atmospheric pressure drops, because it loses so much carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide that freezes is such a large percentage of the total atmosphere that it's a perceptible change in the atmosphere. And, we don't normally think about these things. And certainly I didn't expect sort of my climate science textbook to be devoting so much time to, Earth is here, but actually it's more general than that. We can apply this to anything inside the solar system. So it's just really, 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 really exciting.
So we just landed Perseverance.
Yes.
On Mars, and I found it hilarious. All these things. I think it's cool as shit. But I had to go into the comment section, of course, virtually anywhere, and I was surprised how many comments there were. Why does Mars look like the desert in Egypt? Why does it look like Earth? And a lot of people, there was a lot. I don't know how many. I mean, I didn't go through every single one of them because we were talking tens of thousands of comments. Most of them are very much like, wow, awesome, way to go. But a lot of them were kind of pissed. It's like, yeah, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Economies are collapsing, and we're wasting money on sticking shit on Mars. I can kind of see that argument, why it would look from that perspective. I can see this. If somebody has no job, they've been out of job for 18 months. The pandemic is fucking just out of control, and we're dumping millions, hundreds of millions of dollars to put a rover on Mars. I get the logic there, but still, a lot of people think, a lot of comments about people that don't think that we did it. That it's just something in Egypt driving around the desert there, because we can't tell the difference between the two.
We've been joined.
We have. You want to say hi?
Hi.
Hey, Munchkin.
How are you?
How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Doing good? Are you hungry? Want some breakfast?
No.
You don't know? In a minute or two?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I show them how much money I have?
No.
Okay.
You can show them your mailbox.
That's where my money is.
I know. There you go. That's her mailbox.
She's yawning.
A piggy bank mailbox.
The piggy bank mailbox.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
What are you gonna...
I'm on a delay. I can't see it.
Well,
You'll see it
it's
in a
an
minute.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
it
watching
is
the I'm
new.
watching the channel, so I can't see. But Tony's over here looking. Oh, that looks amazing. It's so great. I can't see anything. Oh, there it is. Okay, cool. Very cool.
Yeah. What are you gonna do with it when you finish filling it up? You pay for your college?
I'm gonna pay for McAllister's.
You gonna pay for McAllister's? Oh, okay.
And then we're gonna get wild blueberries.
And wild blueberries. All right.
Yeah, okay. Well, there you are. That's a plan. That's a firm objective. I approve.
Wild blueberries.
What's that?
Can I tell them what wild blueberries is?
Yes, tell them what wild blueberries is so they know.
Wild blueberries is a it's a
Is it frozen yogurt?
it's frozen yogurt and boba tea, and it has gummies and decorations and stuff and boba that you can put on your frozen yogurt, and McAllister's is a place where you can get cookies.
And a sandwich shop too. Huh? Yeah.
Nice.
I'm gonna get 2 cookies from McAllister's.
2 cookies. All right. Let's go get
Wow.
breakfast.
And we're gonna get some cookies today.
Oh, okay. Go get yourself some breakfast. All right.
Man, where did the days go when this was the extent of our concerns about the
Telling
day?
you. Yeah.
You know,
Where's
what
my,
happened?
yeah,
what
where's
happened?
my next cookie coming from? Exactly.
Yeah.
It's McAllister's and wild blueberries.
Yep.
Hmm.
When I was a kid, it was the new He-Man toy. That was it.
Or it was like, man, I wish if I could just get more Ninja Turtles. If I
Right.
could just get more Ninja Turtle figures, everything would be great.
Exactly. If I could just get the Ninja Turtle, the layer, right? The sewer, that thing was, man, let's get that.
Yeah.
All right, so Monkey in the Work says, at Jail Warren, what are your thoughts on Cruz deserting the state like the rat he is, or are we not going there?
He's a fucking rat. That's what he is. I mean, he's got the money and he's got the ability to travel like that, and he just, instead of dealing with the problems or like being there and being supported for his constituents, he jumped in a fucking plane and went to fucking Mexico.
It's one thing, I will say this, it's one thing for your average rich person to do that, but when you're the representative of a state,
Yeah.
you kind of need to be where you need to be, taking care of things you take care of. Like if you want to take your family and put them in a safe place, okay, I get it. But your ass needs to be in the thick of things trying to get shit fixed.
So he's going to run off and he's going to go on vacation instead of dealing with ERCOT, instead of dealing with Greg Abbott, instead of, I'm sorry. But yeah, I saw my name popping up a couple times. Lemmy Play says the original Transformers, and
Yep.
Tony Regime says Biker Mice from Mars. Both excellent. But yeah, you are the elected representative, okay? You do hold sway. You're the fucking senator, all right? You do hold sway over Greg Abbott. Greg Abbott is a fucking retard, all right? I don't like to use that term, but he is. I will literally push that man off a cliff. Because I shit you not, dude. His actions from the beginning of this shit.
You got to remember that there are other people who may be listening who might consume or might perceive that as a threat against the.
Well, I can't physically do it. Like I'm not saying I'm going to.
Well, I would
But
suggest
nonetheless, like that meme, Greg Abbott, and just off the cliff, because Greg Abbott's actions, and I'll stand by this because, I'm not even a natural born Texan. I'm a transplant, but I came here over 30 years ago, and everything was cool. And then Greg Abbott got involved, and Greg Abbott beat Wendy Davis, who became our fucking governor. And every decision that this man has made has led us from bad to worse. His dealing with starting with the pandemic, it is all the way to this winter storm. So it has always been money first.
Yep.
It is profit over people, and it is to such an egregious degree that you would literally think this fucker was just a capitalism robot. Okay, that's not a wheelchair. That's actually like designed into him. Okay,
it's funny you bring up the wheelchair and talk about his bad decision making. You know how he became wealthy and how he got into that wheelchair?
Oh yeah, it was an accident. A tree fell on. Oh, like a tree branch fell on him. Yeah,
right. He was working in his yard, and his neighbor's tree branch fell on him. To which he took to the court and sued for a ridiculous amount of money. I mean, a ridiculous amount of money. Not saying he did or did not deserve it. Again, I don't know the facts of the case. Whatever. But fast forward 40 years and put this man in office. This man has been in a wheelchair his entire life because of what the court decided was negligence on the homeowner side for not properly taking care of the tree. That's the reason why he was awarded the money. Now, he gets in the office and says, okay, cool, you can't do that anymore. You can't do the thing that I did to become rich and famous, or rich and powerful. You can't do that no more. Nope. We're taking that away from you.
That's what they do. Guy. I mean, I stated this during the whole Wall Street bets thing that that's still kind of going on, but not really. That the minute someone finds a way, the minute that people find a way to hit the rich, where it hurts to hit them in their wallet, they will not fight back. They will not fight fire with fire. They will change the fucking game so that other people can't do it again. That's what they do. That is how they stay rich. Okay, that's how they keep the money on their side, and then the money doesn't go over to the other side. But Abbott, ever since he took power, ever since he became our governor, has just been a destructive influence who has put money and the money that keeps him in office or whatever, or put money before Texans every single freaking day. Every decision he has made has been categorically anti-person and more just money, money, money. Okay, the decisions that he made during the pandemic, which is the reason why Texas was pretty much leading the nation in deaths. And then, of course, the shit that went down during the storm. He is the governor of Texas. He does not need Ted Cruz to step in to make change. He's the governor of Texas. He can literally tell ERCOT to shove it up their fucking ass and keep prices fixed. He can do that. But no, 10,000% increase in power prices here in the state of Texas during Winter Storm Uri.
Yep.
Is he out of his mind? Okay, no. Just like the president would put, I don't recall the last time I did it, but the president, I have been alive, and the president has put a moratorium on gas prices, where wham, he has stopped them solid. Okay, just temporarily, that we needed to do this because people were gouging. It's like wham, nope, gas prices do not go higher than this. Done. Because you're pretty much, people are losing their jobs because they can't afford gas to put in their cars to go to work. So no, you can do that. You can put a moratorium on shit, and they can't increase prices anymore. But not in Texas. No. Now all those freaking energy companies are going to be making all these incredible amounts of money, and whatever money he's got coming into him I don't know what the situation is, but he obviously loves money more than he loves people. He consistently showed it during the pandemic. He consistently showed it during the storm when, people are freezing to death in the fucking streets.
Or in their houses.
Or in their own homes. Okay? He did nothing. He literally did nothing. And that's what makes what Ted Cruz did even worse. Yep. He does nothing in the fucking governor's mansion. Dan Patrick is a piece of shit who literally did nothing as well. Okay? Fuck that dude. He thought that old people should be willing to sacrifice to keep the economy open. I was like, well, our elders should be willing to make the sacrifice to keep the Texan economy healthy. And I'm like, right. So those two assholes don't do shit. And because they don't do shit, Ted Cruz has the opportunity to come down here and be the fucking senator that we need him to be.
Nope.
No, he fucks off to Cancun. And somebody mentioned it in the comments, the absolute failings of the Texas GOP. This is the Texas GOP. This is what it is. I don't think it's been apparent. I think other states have their problems, but I think it has never been more apparent that the GOP cares about one thing, and that is money, or two things, money and power. That is what they want. They want lots of money, and they want to stay in power. And that's all they give a shit about.
So, That's okay. It was a very good rant, I have to say. Yes, and I am feeling a little bit lightheaded, so I am eating a brownie. To my knowledge, it does not contain any THC. So the speculation that it was a pot brownie, no, not to my knowledge, not accurate. Though
See,
I have
he's
to
already
say,
left himself. He's left himself a loophole in there. He says, "To my knowledge." There's a loophole.
Well, it was made by somebody else. So
somebody put weed in his brownie. What
yes.
the fuck? But you live alone.
All right, sorry. Go ahead there.
That's okay. Keela made the first point that I actually wanted to get to, which is when markets stop functioning, it's the role of government to step in and regulate the markets.
That's why we hire them.
Yes, that's why they exist, and if they refuse to do it, they're not fulfilling their responsibilities to the electorate. Actually what this guy did, by getting rich and then stopping anybody. So for those of you who are into Japanese history, there's the sort of the establishment of the Tokugawa shogunate. There were three generals who sort of worked to control Japan, and the first was Oda Nobunaga. He was succeeded by Toyotomi Hideyoshi, and Toyotomi Hideyoshi was a peasant. He started life as a peasant. He rose to become a noble, and eventually he became he kind of finished the establishment of the shogunate. First thing he did, make sure that never happens again. So there's a long and storied history of people who get to the top of the hill and then just go, well, we're not going to let any other troublemakers do that. Because, everybody likes it when they're on top. It's kind of like the excesses of left-wing cancel culture. The left wing is now sort of kind of dominant. And so, there is a tendency to abuse that position to try and control it to the extent, well, we don't want any more change because we're on top at the moment. There is an element of that around. And it is negative regardless of which side of politics does it. So I just suggest everybody, not do that, because it's, that way you breed in corruption and ultimately, your cause falls over.
So
you need to.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
You need to recognize that allegedly left-wing or allegedly right-wing economic methodologies both have their applications. They can both be effective. It's not one size fits all. You look at the way the market behaves may change over time. But you look at the way the market behaves and you intervene using the tools that will produce the best outcome, rather than using an ideology that, the one mechanism is going to work all the time, which seems to be how your governor is running it. The government needs to be responsive to circumstances, not a mindless implementation of a particular ideology.
And that's the part. That's the thing that seems to happen everywhere. Is that, if you look at any politician, right? I'm either Republican, Democrat, I'm a socialist, whatever, or I'm a this or that. When you are elected to a position of power, your political affiliation means little to me, because you're supposed to be a representative of all of people, not just the political party in which you identify with. So if you are in California and you're a democratic socialist, that's amazing. That's awesome. You champion for those things, but you also have to take into the responsibility that you have a lot of Republican voters out there who want to feel like their voices are being heard. Now, again, just because you hear their voices or just because we give them that representation doesn't always mean that they're going to get their way, or the other, or vice versa, or the liberal Democrats. There has to be a medium that we've got to get to. There's got to be a balance in there. Because again,
Well-
like you were talking about, Tony, there's, there are a lot of liberal ideas like like cancel culture that I just do not get along with. There are some things that don't work all the time, that don't work for everybody. There needs to be, capitalism isn't necessarily in itself bad. It's unbridled, unchecked capitalism that gets out of hand and that's bad.
That's
We need
right.
to bring
So
a little more towards the middle.
My attitude, sort of, Blue Marble Science has joined the chat. Always wonderful to see you, sir. I am very well, thank you, and I hope you are too. And Chris Durham has also joined as well. So a lot of my favourite people. But Blue Marble made asked the question, at what point did any professional politician on either side ever care about anything other than power and money? And I think I can answer that. I think that FDR did actually care about what was going on with the country. He did actually care about getting it to a better point. But in a more modern context, I actually like the attitude that Bernie Sanders brings, which is to say he thinks that this is good policy, and that's the end of that. And he just dumps it on the table. Not all of his policies are necessarily great, or can be implemented, that practically. But I think that Bernie Sanders is an example of somebody who is genuinely trying to govern in the best interests of everybody. That's my interpretation of him. And I think we need more politicians who are trying to do that. Because everybody's right. These people are just interested in getting re-elected and having enough money so that they can fuck off to Cancun as soon as the weather turns foul.
Right. Tony Regime brings up a really good point. Says party politics effectively disenfranchises a large percentage of the voters in each. That's absolutely correct. Look at we were talking about record turnout with this last election, and we did. We had record turnout, but I think it was something like, what was it? Just over 50% of the population of the. I want to say it was 60% of the voting population came out to vote. 60%, give or take.
Yeah. I don't know the figures on that. Yeah. It's one of the problems with making voting optional, right? Making voting optional automatically increases the significance of people who have extremist views. People who have extremist views understand that their views aren't very popular. Therefore, they have a strong incentive to vote. If you're a politician with a finite budget and you're looking to sort of get votes, it is more efficient for you to appeal to the votes of extremists because they're more likely to turn up to the polls. So it creates this sort of distorted market between politicians and the electorate where moderates end up underrepresented. And over time, they become more and more disenchanted with the political system and more disengaged, which just feeds into a cycle of more and more extreme politics.
There's one more thing I wanted to say about the whole Ted Cruz. What makes it even more egregious is that Ted Cruz is a member of the Senate. The Senate broke along with the House so they could they specifically said not because it's a vacation, because right now our country is supposed to be working on a third stimulus package to help with unemployment benefits, help with stimulus check, all kinds of shit, school openings, vaccine distribution, etc., etc., etc. And they say, well, we're going to break for our these politicians to go back to their home states to deal with state issues. And it's not a vacation. It's a break so we can go back to deal with state issues. And then Ted Cruz gets here and immediately fucks off to Cancun because the state issues were too much for his little bitch hands to handle.
It was just too cold. Too cold to work. Have to go to Cancun.
Right.
And I mean, it's absolutely insane. And I actually wanted to address, because Clive Wells was bringing it up. And yes, dude, I totally agree with you. Sometimes politics can be very, very boring. And especially local politics when it's in a state that's not your own. I absolutely get that. The only reason I think at this point it becomes a little less boring is when, like, somebody was saying that they were in the UK and they were curious as to what it was actually like being here in Texas. Mass death. I don't know how else to put that. When the local politics is resulting in mass death, that is when I think it kind of becomes interesting.
Oh yeah,
and
I forgot.
It's not.
Monkeying the Works also reminds me that they left the dog at home.
Yeah, left his poodle at home with no power.
No power or running water.
Yeah, because he's a fucking asshole. So, yeah. but I think at that point, it becomes something to talk about. And, obviously we're not on the national spotlight, but there are individuals bigger than us having these conversations. But a lot of people, like especially in the UK, they may not realize is like, fuck yeah, dude. We have our politicians right now, Ted Cruz, Governor Abbott, Greg Abbott, and Dan Patrick, and the entire Texas GOP. They're just letting people die. That's what it's about. They're just like legitimately wholesale letting people die.
Yep.
First was the pandemic.
Yep.
I mean, we're talking dozens dead in their homes, frozen to death because Governor Patrick couldn't get off his ass and force ERCOT to get off their ass and do something about what was, I mean, I was off my ass. I was running around. How many times I busted my tail, slipping and falling on ice because you guys are trying to keep people warm.
But I mean, you're expendable.
I'm expendable. I'm not some fucking hero. Okay, number one, I'm doing my job. That's what they pay me to do. But two, people need to be warm when it's like -18 because this is the United States and this is not something that people are used to, not something that Texas is used to. So our infrastructure did fail us. And in the event of that, people have got to be able to stand up. They got to be willing to stand up. I just happen to get paid to stand up. But then again, so does Ted Cruz. So does Governor Abbott. So does Dan Patrick. So do the entire Texas GOP. They draw their paychecks from the state. We put them there, or did I say the other people put them there? They actually were in power before I voted for Wendy Davis, but but this is what their jobs are, and they legitimately are doing their jobs. You think I still have a job? If I was like, fuck off, it's too cold, I'm going to Cancun. They would not pay me anymore.
Yeah, my job shut down for the week. And they're not paying us for that. I didn't even make the choice. The job said, no, we're not doing it. And then we're like, hey, I brought up to my immediate boss and said, it's kind of shitty you guys are shortchanging us because it's not like, especially us, the managers, we don't get the cool, managers can't, they're going to pay for their overtime. Like in California, if you work overtime as a manager, you get paid overtime wage. Yep. Here in Texas, whatever your salary is, that's what you make per year regardless. You can work 100 hours a week. You can work 2 hours a week. Well, no, if you work 2 hours a week, they'll find a way to not pay you, which is what's going on here. And I brought it up to my manager and said, hey, it's kind of shitty we're getting shortchanged. I said, because it's not like, all those weeks that I had to work 60, 70, 80 hours plus that you guys paid me extra for those hours. So that's pretty shitty. And this motherfucker comes back and says, well, you should be lucky we're getting paid at all. I'm like, oh, fuck you.
Yeah.
I actually heard that from a coworker of mine that and his situation was not as bad, not as dire as yours, but he lives alone. He's never been married, and his dog of I think 17 years passed away. So dog was very, very old, but the dog passed away. The dog was like a son to him, like legitimately raised from a puppy. 17 years, had the dog passed away, and he put in his PTO, and the boss was like making him feel guilty for using his PTO. He has PTO for this reason. If you put it in and you follow the rules, you can use PTO for the fuck you want. That's why it's there. So he puts the PTO in, and then his boss is kind of like making him feel guilty about the shit. He's like, why are you taking time off? He's like, well, my fucking dog died after 17 years. It's like my son. I'm taking the time off to deal with this. And he's like, we have people, we have work that needs to be done around here. And, you can't just be taking time off and making him feel guilty about this shit. And now,
yep.
It's been such a problem. We're going to lose an excellent employee with over 15 years of experience under his belt, universally HVAC certified, ready to go. We're going to lose him because of shit like that. He's going to go somewhere else.
Yeah. So there's a thing. We have sick leave here. It's a part of your job. You get a certain amount of sick leave. And in the US, I was astonished when I went to the US and I found, a lot of states, you don't. automatically get time off for being sick, and there are strong disincentives for taking time off for being sick. It actually lowers your productivity because you get sick people coming to work and infecting everybody else. And they're not, they infect your customers, and they're not doing a good job because they're ill.
Yeah.
Right.
It's completely counterproductive, it's just getting this is going to draw into a sort of a big circle again. Evolutionarily, humans are not great animals. They're not competitive with bears. They're not particularly fast or strong or agile. They don't have great reflexes, but what they do have is the capacity to work as a group, and that's their big strength. So it's working as a group that should be the objective as far as we can. It's our big survival advantage is that we can coordinate and work as a group. And people who don't coordinate and work as a group for the benefit of everybody in the group are actually working counter to our survival imperatives. And this is getting to a fundamental level in the political discourse. It's getting to a point where sort of there's in some countries it's getting to the point where there's no slack left. Basically, you're just killing people at this point. And I mean, the US healthcare system, I keep on saying, somewhere between 15 to 45,000 Americans die each year because of inadequate access to healthcare. And Americans seem to be okay with that. But actually people are dying, and it's the job of your politicians to stop that from happening. That it's been brought up before. I am not actually that optimistic about America's future, because what you've got at the moment is a political class that are wealthy cynics. I mean, one of the things that I resented most about Trump was that everybody spent so much time criticizing Trump that you never really got into dissecting the ways that the Democrats could be better,
right?
Because they've got a lot of flaws of their own. They've got a lot of corporate ownership and in bed with.
That's the reason why we had Trump to begin with, because of the shortcomings and the flaws of the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
Because
legitimately, I will say the Democrats looked like they weren't doing shit. Like they were literally sitting on their fucking hands, and it was so bad to the point. And I mean, and I'll fault him for this all day long. Obama fucking capitulated. He capitulated way too much. If he should have stood his ground and fought for what he believed in, but he didn't. He wanted bipartisanship, which I get is a noble idea. I do. But if you sacrifice your leg, just to be in the race, what's the fucking point?
Exactly.
Okay. I mean, before we go on, I got to jump in there. I got to apologize. I have to give an apology, and because I was thinking about over what I said when I was responding to Clive Wells. And Clive Wells, I apologize. I realize I'm thinking back to what I said. My tone sounded very, very snide and very snarky, and I did not mean that to come off that way. I really, really didn't. It's only politics is important to me, but I typically don't run around. But I'm so riled up about the behavior of the people in charge in this state that people are dying. That there are people dying around me. Like, we've lost people at our complex, both to COVID and to this winter situation. Like, there's death at my job. Like, people are dying in the streets, and I'm riled up to a point emotionally, and I think when I responded to you when I said that, I came off as snide and kind of like, and I didn't mean that. I apologize. I was just thinking, it was like, man, I sound like a fucking asshole right there, and I apologize about that. So I didn't mean anything by it, So forgive me if I.
Well, but this is the pointy end, right? And this is actually what we have governments to avoid. We have government institutions to protect us from predatory practices by employers, by corporations, by large organizations, because there is an asymmetry. A large, wealthy entity has a legal and material advantage over an isolated individual. That's just the way it works. So we need to have our corporate entities and our government intention, each keeping the other under control, so that we don't have rampant government abuse of power, and we don't have corporations killing people for profit, which they will do if you lift the regulations. Corporations that can profit from killing people. Not all corporations do profit from killing people, but some of them do. They'll do it hand over fist, and they're unrepentant about it. So we need government to protect individuals from that. And when government is failing to do that, then the justification for its continued existence needs to be assessed. Do we need a change of course here? But that's the end of that rant.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's cool, Clive Wells. I appreciate that. I was thinking back, and I was like, "Damn, I sounded fucking snarky right there."
That just means that's how you sound all the time.
Yeah, apparently that's the way I sound all the time. I sound like just fucking snide, just like, what the fuck, man? It's like, yeah, I was like, man, I sound like a douche. I gotta say something, otherwise Clive Wells gonna be like, well, fuck me for asking.
But
and there's that pregnant pause.
Well, V. Rankin is saying that he lives in Dallas.
Yes, I saw that. I answered him in the chat, but yeah, I'm north of Plano. I'm kind of like north area.
Yeah.
Johnny's further west of me.
Yeah, I'm west. Yeah, I'm north of Fort Worth, west of. We're about 45 minutes away from each other.
I think so. Yeah,
give or take. Yeah. But
you ever take any cock-ups on 121?
Yeah, or 35 EW regular, or 635, or any of the bullshit ass fucking roads we got that are inadequate.
The fucking construction is never going to get done, I swear.
Yeah.
You know why? Because all the money's going to the NTTA, so they can keep their toll roads.
Oh, I'm so sick of toll roads, and the reason why we had that terrible, terrible accident a few weeks ago is because of the NT. They're so bad at their job. They're so bad at their job. They can't make an efficient toll road. They took a mixed master situation in DFW, added 6 lanes, and made it worse.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Gotta pack them on. Gotta pack them on. That's why 75 and 35 get no fucking attention.
Yeah.
All the attention goes to Bush, Tollway, and 121.
Yep.
Because that's where they make their money. And you know what? They don't even make that much money, because nobody wants to pay their fucking toll.
It would be one thing. It would be one thing if the toll was reasonable. But I literally drove maybe 3 days of toll road to and from work when we had to go to a meeting in whatever, Frisco, and I got the bill for those. I think it was 2 days. I got the bill for those 2 days was almost $300. How can fucking people afford that shit?
It's fucking retarded. It's okay. So here's the fucked up thing. They say that the tolls are intended to help to pay for 2 things. One, to actually pay for the toll road itself, and to pay for the people that work on the little NTTA crews that we see running around that never do anything.
Right.
I never see them doing anything. They drive around in their trucks. Maybe they do. But I see them parked more often than not. So the fucked up thing. So Tony, get this. This is how this works. So now we used to have toll booths. You had to stop, throw the money in, or give the money to the person. Then you carry on. Done. Very, very simple. Now they automated everything. The problem is that, and you can set up a toll tag account. You can put money in the toll tag account. Oh,
yeah. And, they sent me that bill, and they said with the toll tag, you could have saved $2.75.
Exactly. So they hook you up with a toll tag. You connect that to your email address so you can get alerts like this. You put money in the toll tag, and that's how you pay for your tolls. So that's the setup. The problem is that their system is so fucked up that people often don't get emails indicating when they are out of money or when they're low on money. However, so people will invariably fall behind. Okay. But here's the problem. If you fall behind and you're just using tolls, you're just going along, doing whatever, and something happens. So you won't get a notification that you have no money. So after you're out, you won't get anything. So if you miss it, that's it. You're just racking up tolls. you won't get the bill for those tolls until towards the end of the month. And it's every toll that you didn't pay. Okay, that makes sense. Then you just pay all your tolls. Okay, you get one statement. It's got like 20 tolls on it. You pay your fucking tolls and you carry on your business. No. Because they had to send you a letter, it's a $25 administration fee for every toll that you didn't pay. Every single one.
Yep.
25 bucks. So literally, what would normally cost me $5 or $10 in tolls is now racked up to $110 in tolls because they had to send me a letter. And they do this all over the fucking state. I think it was like 10, 11 years ago, they really the NTTA released a list of its highest offenders of non-toll payment, of people who did like the biggest scofflaws. And the number one dude on there owed like something. I think he was like over six figures in tolls that he hadn't paid. It was like the number one person. They put our names on it. They put names on these things.
Oh, that's fucking
okay.
Yeah.
Both me and my wife were on it.
Wow.
Okay. At the time, I owed them. They said I owed them like 17 grand in tolls. I still don't pay the NTTA. I will not pay the NTTA. I will not, because number one, the highways were subsidized by the state. The highways are paid off.
Yep.
They're done. The highways have been paid off, okay? Because they're subsidized by the state.
Yep.
So where is that money going? Number two, their system is all fucked up, and sending me a letter with like 20 fucking tolls on it stating that, hey, you owe us like, $400 for this one letter. It's like, no. It literally is like like fucking double extortion, because the NTTA has a setup with the Texas DPS, the Department of Public Safety. They're the ones. The DPS are the one, like the state troopers. They're the ones who are watching. Who are like, they're the cops on there. City cops get 75 and 35, but DPS, the Texas State Troopers, they get Tollway, Bush, 121, which are all the toll roads, because the NTTA has a deal with the state that allows them to use the Texas State Troopers, the Texas DPS, as muscle to enforce their laws. So, like, literally, if I'm driving on 121 and I get pulled over because I owe all these exorbitant tolls, because I don't pay my tolls, they could literally pull me over and take my fucking car.
Right.
They can impound my vehicle and leave me on the side of the fucking road. Mm-hmm. They also won't let me renew my registration.
Yeah.
I haven't renewed my registration in 3 years.
All right. So yeah. So you weren't here last week, but I introduced a new game to the Four Beardsman stream, which was a game of let's pretend. And let's pretend that this stream is about entertaining people.
Oh, I gotta love it.
And I do understand you've had you have had an extremely traumatic week. And you are quite passionate. I discover about highways in Texas. We can move on, I think, past the corruption of your transport system. I agree. It's an outrage that sort of crap happens. But we can put it
don't try to cushion this insult.
That's good.
Well, I understand that you're very passionate about it. And I get it must be so fucking hard, but nobody wants to hear you fucking bitch.
Well, I think I'm trying to suggest that perhaps we can move on. Perhaps.
All right. So here's how we get back into entertainment. You guys are nerds like I am. Who has seen the new Mortal Kombat movie trailer?
Yes, I have.
I have, yes.
I am looking forward to this film. I won't get to see it immediately because it's on It's on HBO or some shit like that.
I think it's gonna be HBO Max release or whatever. I'm not sure.
Whatever their on-demand service is. Does that mean jail is a soft sit as well as a closet? Oh, Jesus. JL,
Yeah, here's the fucked up thing, and I was going to say that because Daniel Pratt's water heater brought it up. I'm not a soft sit, but this is my silent protest. It's my silent protest against system. My not paying tolls is just my silent protest. It's all I can do. I'm not going to like fight the man if they pull me over. Oh, I don't have to show you shit. Fuck no. When the cops pull me over, I'm like literally hands behind my back, ass in the air. Do whatever you want until you're done with me.
Whoa.
I will literally do that. I don't fight with. I don't do that with the they have the authority. I do not have the authority. That's over and done with. So, but
I mean, I'll give them my driver's license and whatnot, but I'm not gonna,
but no tolls. I just don't pay them because the system is corrupt. It's jacked up. It's my little silent protest. At this point, it's cheaper to pay the ticket for not having registration than it is to pay the toll. So,
yep.
Fuck it. But yes, no, not looking forward to the Mortal Kombat movie. No.
Oh,
really?
really?
I watched the trailer a number of times because there was something that just didn't like. There was something that was just sticking out. I was like, so I had to watch it again and again and again to get a feel. I was like, what the hell am I seeing this bothering me so much? I don't like the feel of it, and I don't like the adjustments that they've made to kind of modernize Mortal Kombat. I understand that this is natural progression, that this is what it's got to be done, and I think the effects are going to be okay, but I don't think the delivery is going to be solid. I think it'll be it'll be better than the first Mortal Kombat, but I'm just kind of, it was the depiction of Sub-Zero, the depiction of Scorpion, all that shit. What they basically did is they took Mortal Kombat Rebirth, which was a series that premiered on machinima.com. That was an amazing series. Michael Jai White. Michael Jai White and Jerry Ryan were in it, and each episode was a different character. So Scorpion got his, Sub-Zero got his, and Raiden got his. Everybody was in there, and it was fucking amazing. Absolutely stunning machinima like web series. And you can check it out. I think it's still on machinima.com, but it was Mortal Kombat Rebirth. The Raiden episode was next level, incredible. But they basically took that storyline. They've kind of like taken that and then put it into this, and then are like changing up. I don't fucking know. I'm literally 30-70 not looking forward to it. It may surprise me. It may.
I've been looking for a good Mortal Kombat movie forever. I mean, the first Mortal Kombat was fun, but I wouldn't call it good. The second Mortal Kombat movie was absolute shit. And then the web series was pretty cool, but it wasn't a movie.
It wasn't, but I honestly don't think that something like Mortal Kombat, given the number of characters, given the storyline, and the depth of the storyline in that, I don't think you can do that in a movie. You're packing way too much information into a short amount of time.
Well, so it depends. It depends on where you want to put the focus on Mortal Kombat. So if you put the focus on, like the first movie, what made it more cohesive was the fact that they focused more on Mortal Kombat 1 arcade game.
Well, it's true, but the Mortal Kombat 1 arcade game had a limited amount of fighters.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, so
that's why
you say, okay,
cohesive.
let's group it together. You've literally got the three primaries: Johnny, Sonya, Liu Kang with Raiden. Okay, so you got those four. Then you've got Shang Tsung, obviously he's a guy. Then you got Scorpion and Sub-Zero and Reptile. Nobody gives, you're good.
Forgot about Kano.
Oh, and Kano. So, see? Do we really need him? I mean, come on. You
yes.
ran around, was acting like an asshole and got killed. But nonetheless, but not even, Jax was hit to that, but he wasn't even mentioned. So ultimately, in that's all you had to work with. That works because you can localize your storytelling. You can compartmentalize your storytelling. But
right.
At this point right now, there's so many people involved because now we've got like fucking Katana and Melina and Baraka, and then the variations on that. And you got Shang Tsung, and then you've got all of the heroes, and then of course and then the robots, and it's way too much. And I see them trying to parse out bits and pieces, but they're literally just doing what the web series did, and they're comporting it to a film. I don't have a good feeling about it. I don't think it's going to be very good.
What about you, Tony?
I'm significantly more optimistic. Sort of the production values look decent, and there's potential here that it could be a good. So I'm going to assume that it's got promise, and perhaps I'll be disappointed. But my hopes, my expectations aren't necessarily that high. So
I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be good. I think they're going to. I do see the problems they can run into by trying to put too much into it. That's what happened with the second film. They wanted to put too much of the characters into it, and they didn't give enough time to flesh out an actual story that was cohesive and made sense, and didn't suck. But I don't know. I think I don't know. It depends on where the focus is on this new one. If the focus on the new one is going to be on the Liu Kang Kung Lao, then cool. But if the focus is going to be on Liu Kang Kung Lao, and then Scorpion Sub-Zero, and then Sonya, Jax, Kano, and then yeah, I can see where it's going to get a little convoluted and messy.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I think the primary focus of this is, one, we can make a Mortal Kombat movie. We have the money. The right people have the money to make a Mortal Kombat movie, and we're gritty enough because films like Deadpool and Logan have set the stage that we can now do a video game movie and make it hyper violent. Because arguably, Mortal Kombat's a hyper violent game, but the first Mortal Kombat movie, not really hyper violent.
It had some fighting scenes. They had to tone down all the fatalities.
Exactly, but now we don't.
Stuff that made Mortal Kombat, right?
Thank you, Deadpool. Thank you, Logan. Thank you, all the comic book movies that are getting, that we've seen increased violence in. And then, of course, with video game adaptations come up like The Last of Us and various other ones. And we're going to see that it's going to trend that way. We're going to be able to depict this level of violence and depict it realistically on film. And so Mortal Kombat's going to get that treatment. It's going to be extreme. I mean, you saw the trailer. Kano ripping a dude's heart out. I get that. But that's I feel like that's the focus because there was so much of it in the trailer. Now, of course, that's the appeal of Mortal Kombat. But just because it's the appeal of Mortal Kombat doesn't make it it makes it a good video game. Doesn't make it a good fucking movie.
Yeah, I think it's sort of I prefer to wait and see as far as that. I'm not particularly, I won't be heartbroken if it isn't that great. But I kind of think actually that a lot of people are really harsh on films in general. Like a film can have a lot of decent qualities. That doesn't make it necessarily but it can have a failing in one particular area. But that doesn't make it necessarily a bad film.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I could see that. It's only when you hire actors like Johnny Depp to make it a bad film.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
You're just gonna kick a man when he's down. Damn.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about that part that he and the old Amber Heard business.
I'm so glad the tide is turning. I am so glad, considering decades of women coming out of the woodwork. No, this man is not like this. Of just everyone who knows him has come out and be like, no, I've known Johnny for 20 years. He's never behaved in any manner like this. It's not possible. All of his ex-girlfriends are like, no, he's never done anything like this. He's treated me with nothing but respect. Even in my worst times, he was always at his best. And it's and then of course Amber Heard, oh, he's a manipulative, vicious abuser who tormented me and tortured me and blah blah blah. It's yeah. And I mean, I can speak to. I have friends who knew Amber at the very beginning of her career before it started. They people who starred in her first movie, her very first film here in Texas. And they said that even from the beginning, she was always just a massive just bitch. She was just cold, manipulative, just fucking mean as shit. She didn't want to be around anybody. She thought her shit didn't stink. And that was just the Amber Heard show. She's been like that since the very fucking beginning. Yeah.
You get to a point where it is instinctual, but you get to a point that it's a he said, she said situation, and you've got to decide who you believe. Mm-hmm. Get more information before instinctively assuming that it's the guy that's lying here and it's the guy that is at fault. Yeah.
Trying to cancel Johnny Depp. You're trying to cancel Jack Sparrow? You out of your mind?
I will say that I liked Johnny Depp more when he was doing the independent films with not the big blockbusters. I really started to dislike him with the whole Pirates of the Caribbean, and then the Lone Ranger. That was just a stupid move for him to do. How are you going? Wait, hang on a second. How are you going to make a movie called The Lone Ranger, and then cast the biggest star as the second guy?
Because Johnny Depp doesn't mind being the second guy.
I know, but I'm not saying it's Johnny Depp's fault. I just think it was a stupid move for him to do. I think it was a stupid move by the filmmakers. You don't hire. Who was the Lone Ranger?
Army Hammer.
John Hamm.
Okay.
Oh no, Army Hammer. Yeah, all right.
The cannibal.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he is a cannibal, but I've read I've been looking at the tabloids recently because I'm, when I'm stuck here in the middle of a fucking winter storm, I look at the tabloids, and apparently Army Hammer is a cannibal, or he wants to be.
It just to me, your top billed character, the name of the film, if it's going to be the Lone Ranger, then hire fucking Johnny Depp as a Lone Ranger. Just makes more sense.
Maybe he wanted to play Tonto.
Okay,
because
cool.
It was fun. It's just a fun movie.
I get it, but sorry, Johnny Depp, I'm not about to have Tonto overshadow the namesake of the fucking movie.
I thought it was, number one, I thought it was a terrible film. It just wasn't well done.
No.
It's just like, this is just crap. But still, he gave it his Johnny Deppiest. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't a terrible performance.
No.
I didn't find him overreaching.
Again, my problem isn't with Johnny Depp per se, with what Johnny Depp did. My problem is with what the film did. It's just a stupid move to hire somebody. It's like taking, we're going to hire Marlon Brando at the peak, at the pinnacle, and we're going to put him in a movie called Perry Mason, except he's going to play the judge. What the fuck? It's fucking stupid.
Bad Uncle Bob, do not get me started on Ninth Gate. Fuck that movie.
So
not because of Johnny Depp. Not because of Depp. Depp was amazing. He was amazing in that film. But fuck that movie. Straight.
Okay.
Go ahead, Tony.
So, I would suggest that anybody with some interest in science and how physics works should avoid watching The Lone Ranger, because whoever made it clearly doesn't have any understanding of how physics works. And just because you can CGI some bullshit does not mean that you should. Because there's nothing actually I find more destructive to my enjoyment of a film than watching something that is physically impossible being CGI'd. Why am I not just watching Looney Tunes at this point? Because you know the difference between Looney Tunes and what you're trying to do here. Looney Tunes was fucking funny, and you're not. You're trying to be serious.
Yep.
Cut it out. Either give up being serious or get your physics right.
There you go.
And I mean, there are some movies we'll forgive.
Tony, I got to show you a movie called Six String Samurai.
Well, yes, kung fu movies or martial arts movies aren't necessarily paragons of physical plausibility.
I'm telling you, dude, this movie is 50% the greatest movie you'll ever see, and 50% the worst movie you will ever see. It's so fucking ridiculous that it literally loops. It's like an Ouroboros of just mental. It really, really is, because half of it you're just like, oh my god, this is amazing, these action sequences, and the other half is like, what the fuck is going on? What is with the cannibal family that's acting like the fucking Waltons? I don't get it. Fucking great.
Yes, the NANA has put his finger on the pulse. The Fast and the Furious is not a film franchise that I am overly fond of.
The Fast and Furious?
Yes.
Do you realize they're all mutants? Their mutant power is to control cars. That's what it is.
Yeah. I thought their mutant power was to completely copy Point Break.
Even with those doubtless devastating mutant powers, they do physically impossible things, right?
Yep.
the cars that they were driving at one point are not powerful enough to drag a safe along behind them like that. It is physically impossible. And actually, while I'm at it, whoever directed those Night Watch and Day Watch films, you're a joke. You're a loser.
Oh wait, I'll say so. There was Night Watch and there was Day Watch. It's the supernatural ones in Russia, the supernatural creatures in Russia, right?
Yes, those ones.
Okay, that was Timur Bekembekov is who directed it. And I'm very curious because I actually happen to be a big fan of the Night Watch and Day Watch films, only for the fantasy aspect of it. It's so fucking wild and weird, and there was a lot of cool visual shit in it.
JL, you're digging yourself a hole again.
No, this is a movie. It's a movie. A movie I dig.
Like a car driving up the side of a building.
They're fucking supernatural creatures.
Yeah, the car isn't a supernatural creature, is it?
They affect the car.
Here it comes.
She was affecting the car in that scene.
Here it comes.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
That's great.
It's, at that point, you may, well, why can't they, that's the only scene I've seen from Day Watch or Night Watch. I don't even know which film it was in. They're like, they had the panel for that film he did with Angelina Jolie, the one with the spinny bullets.
Fucking Wanted.
Yeah, that one.
Like curving bullets with it's just fucking silly.
Because your pulse rate is 400 beats a minute. You know what happens if your pulse rate gets up to 400 beats a minute? You die.
That's what happens. Your heart explodes.
Having a fast pulse rate doesn't make you curve bullets. Like, can we,
I can perceive time differently.
And then, and then the stupid scene where they drive up beside the car and Angelina Jolie hits a curb and flips over the top of the car and shoots the guy through the side. You know what happens when you slide your Ferrari up against a curb like that? The wheels buckle underneath it, and you're up to, hundreds of thousands of dollars of repairs.
No, Daryl M's right. The car is less dense than the air.
Oh, jeez.
I am going to have to hurt somebody soon.
But it's like the Transporter. It's like the Jason Statham films. Transporter. There was a scene when there's a bomb under the car, and there's like a bomb stuck under the car, and he knows it, and he drives the car and he ramps it off and then does like a somersault. I don't know what the car's fucking doing, but it goes upside down, and he catches the bomb on the hook of a crane and hooks it off, and then lands the car successfully on the other side without throwing out the undercarriage or anything, the whole bottom of the car just falling out from this sheer force, but it lands and takes off. I was like, that's amazing.
I have to say I tolerated that scene because Jason Statham has done some decent enough films. I put up with that, but I was not enamored of it particularly.
Let me see real quick. Bob Medel's Gyroscope. Judge Dredd with Stallone was the worst movie I've seen. One of the worst ever made. But the Dredd film with
Carl Urban.
Carl Urban.
Yeah. I kept thinking Aomer, but with Carl Urban, absolutely fantastic. Show Tony the forward flip of the bus from Night Watch and watch him lose his mind. I bet he already has.
Yep.
And The Island of Dr. Moreau is another crap movie. But yes, Bob Nodell. I liked aspects of it, but overall, a crap movie. Plus, Fairuza Balk, man.
It suffered a lot from the depredations of two of the lead actors, actually.
Oh yeah. Val Kilmer and Val Kilmer was just being Val Kilmer. Well, no, he was going through a divorce at the time, and it was absolutely crazy. And then fucking Marlon Brando's son committed suicide, and then the director like got fired, and another director came in, different mentalities. David Thewlis was just like, "What the fuck is going on? I don't know what's happening." It was just chaos.
Mm-hmm. Anyway.
All right. Well, it's about that time.
Is it about
Yes,
that time?
it is.
It is about that time. Tony's about to turn into a pumpkin.
It is nearly 3 a.m. for me. So yes, about time that I got to bed. Well,
Yes, Tony, the sentient gourd.
yes.
Jeez. Yeah. So what's going down with everybody?
Well, why doesn't JL answer that question first?
Oh man! Oh man! Oh man! Oh man! Oh man! So we are closing out at the end of February. Lots of cool stuff coming in Week in Horror. Obviously, we have our new episode going. We will be live this Wednesday, as usual, at 8 p.m. Central. And of course, look for cool stuff coming to our Patreon. Coming to we have the Bloody Cuts going on, which little excerpts which are going out, which I hope people are enjoying. But after we get past the 28th, once we get into March, I think we're going to have some really, really cool shit come along, especially in the area of special guests. So look forward to new announcements from there. I hope to see everybody this Wednesday. It'll be fun. And then, of course, on my personal channel, I am currently working on a new video, on my next video. But my next video is actually going to be a 4-video series. It's probably my most ambitious project yet, because I'll be looking at the bite model and how it applies to Christianity as a cult. And I'll be breaking everything down: behavior, information, thought, and emotion, how those aspects are controlled. And but there's so much information that I want to break down each individual one. So I'll do a video on BITE. So look forward to that. I'm currently working on the behavior one, because it's quite large, but that'll be coming out pretty soon. So, and of course, I'm trying to get into this shorts thing. I don't fucking know. I'm looking at it. It seems silly to me, but apparently I need to do that. But other than that, it's pretty much status quo around here. I'm going back. I'm back at work tomorrow, and hopefully things will calm down. We'll be good to go.
And what about you, Johnny? Why don't you go first, since I'm nominally the host here?
Fair enough. I'm actually going to be on Roxy Lowry's channel in about an hour, with her excellent questions and deep dive into the psyche of me, which could be scary. We'll see what happens. Unpopular Opinions comes out, and then I'm working on another Karen video for Dingleberries on Friday. And come hell or high water, we will get Kids Corner out on Wednesday. So look forward to all that stuff. That's all I got.
Nice. Well, I released a video yesterday about why I think that relative density doesn't explain anything. And hopefully that's the last Flat Earth related video I ever have to produce. Like I say, I'm going to be moving on to Young Earth creationism and starting with geochronology. So I'm hoping to come out with a video on that in the next week or two. I also do want to give a plug. Jessica G has a gaming channel now, and shares her gaming experiences, which are quite funny. And Clive Wells and I and Chris Durham show up to give her advice, and which is usually, and to tell her to stop killing the zombies because zombie lives matter. Clive Wells, it turns out, is a passionate advocate for peaceful resolutions, negotiations, and the fact that villain lives matter. Doesn't matter if they're flaming skulls in Doom, flying flaming skulls, or zombies. They have rights too. He can explain this in detail himself. But so it's fun, and you should check out her channel. That's what I'm trying to say.
It is fun. I second.
All right. And apart from that, yes, you should watch everybody else's channel. I'm sure Irish will be doing stuff aplenty. But if you and you should watch as much of it as you're comfortable watching. a more resounding endorsement I am incapable of. So yes, but all that being said, thank you very much, everybody who's been in the chat with us, for coming on this roundabout journey. We covered a lot of ground. Yeah, I look forward to being here next week.
Lubo and Jenna said, tried to fall asleep. Tony was great, but Jail's voice woke me up.
Bye, everyone.